All right. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, everybody, to Everything to Gain. Awesome. John Lovig, how are you?
I'm well. It's Friday. The weekend is upon us.
That is great. Awesome. Well, everybody, thank you so much for tuning in to Everything to Gain, episode 19, Job Hunt Like a Headhunter. And today we have our first return guest, John Lovig. Welcome to you. Thank you so much for joining us again.
It's good to be back.
So today I really want to go over a couple of things with you. We should probably review our last episode.
Yes, yeah, for sure.
Right. So last episode we went over a bunch of things about the recruitment process, right?
Mm-hmm.
What do you recall as on the last episode?
I mean, well, first and foremost, I was also newly on a job search myself.
That is true. That is true. Yes.
So fortuitous timing, and now we're talking about job hunting like a headhunter. So definitely was informed a lot by my own search.
Lessons learned.
Yeah, exactly. Also, we talked a lot about demystifying recruiting and the recruitment process. The main thing I just keep hearing about, and I know we talked about this last time, is these capricious AI bots that are out there scanning everything and rejecting you as if they're a human, and it just simply doesn't exist yet.
It still doesn't exist, right?
Doesn't exist yet, folks. Humans are involved.
We will welcome our AI overlords when they do finally show up.
Yeah,
they just don't exist just yet.
That's right. I've heard of some firms that are hiring people like ourselves to train AI to do these things, but it's not there yet. Someday it will be. There are other forces at work rejecting you, even if you get an immediate one.
Right. Much more specific to the company, not necessarily based on any technology, right? So
yeah, well, it could be technology, but it's more simple. You answered the wrong way on a question.
Right. And then we talked about the role of the outside versus inside recruiter.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And the differences, right? And so it's important to understand who you're dealing with and what the role is. I encourage everybody to tune back into Everything to Gain episode 4, and where we featured John, and we went to a lot of great depth on the recruiting process. So really encourage everybody to tune in. You can go and find the episode at E2G Show on YouTube. They are all there. All the episodes are there. And I want to welcome everybody who's tuning in from LinkedIn Live right now, as well as at E2G Show on my YouTube Live, and also at E2G Show on Twitch. So thank you to everybody tuning in. Today we are broadcasting live as always. So we welcome any questions and comments. Please do comment. We love to hear from our audience. We really appreciate everybody in. Love to hear if anybody's checking in. Just want to say hi. Please do so. Love to see the comments. Damon Bassford, thank you so much. How are you? He is excited for this chat. I am too. So let us move on to the job trends, especially these days, right? What are you seeing out there in the job market?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things going on. I speak to a lot of people who are extremely frustrated with the job market today. I just got off of a call with somebody who's like, I don't see any VP roles anymore. And I think a lot of this has to do with hiring is happening. The jobs report was higher than expected by, what was it, almost 100,000 last month.
And non-farm payrolls were up too.
Yeah, it's moving. It's just not moving in the direction people are hoping for. A lot of our recruiting brethren are very upset. I know one of my colleagues who I'd worked with is, terribly annoyed with the market today. And I think what's happening is we're seeing a lot of movement, but not what people are expecting. Now,
but now it's Q4, right?
We're in Q4. It's the best quarter of the year for hiring. Typically, companies that didn't use their budget all year will likely put some investment into hiring.
Got to use it or lose it.
It's an election year. A lot of companies are holding their breath to see what happens in November. So we're almost done with that chaos. And I think you'll see some movement this month as well as next month and through the remainder of the year.
Right. And
Yeah.
typically with an election year, right, there's a lot of, as you say, holding the breath.
Yeah.
And as soon as we know who the winner is, it's almost like there's a settling down.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like buy the rumor, sell the news, type
Mhm.
of dynamic. Like as soon as it settles down, like, yep, let's go, let's hire. Now we do have to be mindful of the holidays and both Thanksgiving week,
Mhm.
right? Really, it's the whole week.
The whole week. People travel, especially here in New York. New York Thanksgiving shuts things down.
Any big city, right?
We're all transplants here. They go home.
Speak for yourself.
Well, you're not even there anymore.
That's true. That is true.
You're transplanted somewhere else.
Yes. So, with the holidays, travel, right, and then sometimes firms will shut down, right, last 2 weeks of the year, right. So you really want to, if you want a job and you want to make yourself available for it, you got to make yourself available now, all the way through to pretty much December 15th.
Yeah.
So,
but this is also the best time of year to network. There's lots of events that happen. Some of them are more social, so it's a lot less sort of forced networking, and you could meet people of all different kinds.
Absolutely. Now with interest rates dropping, that's another thing that we should think about, right?
Exactly. Yeah, it dropped expectedly. We're supposed to see another drop, maybe a little bit more modest, coming in November. So that usually unlocks hiring as well.
And so, with this potential growth, or really we expect it, right? This expected growth in demand. What are some of the things that we should expect in 2025?
I think 2025 will be what you and I would probably call a standard hiring year.
Okay.
Normal hiring across the board. We're seeing, as I always tell people, if you want to see where the hiring is going to start to happen, look at where they're hiring recruiters, right? So
there you go.
Q3 was a lot of go-to-market hiring. So go-to-market being sales, some marketing.
It's always that way.
And so that's what leads. And then once sales is hired, then usually you'll start to see more tech hiring. So I see a lot of tech recruiter jobs starting to post now. That's a good sign for those folks who maybe have been laid off at some of these tech companies. What I hope doesn't happen is another 2021, which was a huge fire sale of hiring, huge inflation of salaries, and then a lot of these companies had some regrets and slashed large numbers of people from their workforce.
Right. And then 2021, there was like the great firing, the great resignation, and all the different terms that we've heard, the quiet quitting, right? And then
now we're in the great reshuffle. I think people are moving a lot. If you almost any profile, those of us who get to see a little bit more than the average person, when we get to see the open to work flag, a lot of your employees are open to work right now. Almost anyone I see. So, guess what? It's time to try and retain people, because if not, they're going to be making a move.
Right. And typically retention bonuses, right, or giving a little bit more bonus so that people do stay, that is almost always going to be less than spending the money, the time to hire new people, to onboard them, right? Hiring takes, as we know, right, 3-4 months. Then you got to onboard them, right? Even
pay increases. Typically companies spend 10% more on hiring somebody new than increasing somebody's pay.
Right. And that makes people definitely much more sticky, right? Sticky to stay. So that is awesome. Thank you so much for that. Again, to the audience, please ask questions. We welcome all questions. We are live on YouTube at E2G Show, as well as on Twitch at E2G Show. And we're also live on LinkedIn. So please, your questions, we welcome them. John is here. He is at the front lines of recruiting and hiring, which brings us to the hot news. I want to hear your hot news.
Yeah, so last time we spoke, I was looking for a job, and I did my recruiter thing, texted every recruiter I knew, was able to land a really exciting contract, working within the AI space. It's been super fun, designing some processes, hiring a project team. But what that also allowed me to do is reflect and say, you know what, I am going to stand up my own business. And so that's what I did.
Woot, woot, woot.
Yes.
Everybody, high five to John on starting the new business. Tell us more.
Yeah, so it's called Ampersand Talent Advisory. Those people who understand that reference will appreciate it, I think. Has a lot to do with working relationships that I've had over the years, and means a lot to me when it comes to talent, because when you work with great people, you love what you do. And when you love what you do, you put in good work. And so that's what I did. I founded the company, stood it up, did all the work myself, pretty much with my website, my branding. I'm pretty good with Canva, so that helped a lot.
That helps. Absolutely.
Now, I provide three main service offerings as part of my business. First being career coaching. So if anyone's looking for more in-depth one-on-one career coaching around anything specific, whether it's mock interviews or the like, I happily do that for folks, as well as, of course, contingent search or direct kind of embedded search, as well as business process design when it comes to recruitment. So process design, tech selection, and things like that.
So what do you mean by process design?
Yeah, so simplifying the recruitment process, standing up a recruitment process, anything related to creating a great recruitment process. It kind of helps when I started my career in HR tech, have always kind of led to either new tech selections, new process designs, training. And so because of that background and having also managed recruiters, I'm pretty good at helping companies design a process, select tools in order to make a more efficient process, and then stand up, a recruiting function that operates under best practices.
That's great, and especially with all the new technology that's being developed and being sold, right?
Mhm.
It's always good for companies to review, right? To review their processes. Ultimately, you want to have the best of the best, and sometimes the new stuff is actually cheaper, right? And especially if it's going to make your day easier, then the kind of the unseen costs there get
Yeah.
immediately reduced, right?
Yeah.
So. We have a question from the audience from our LinkedIn Live. Lisa, thank you so much. The question is, what criteria should one think about when considering working with a recruiter? Best resource to find a recruiter.
Yeah. Certainly if you have specific needs in your job search, depending on what discipline you are, if you're in HR, find a great HR recruiter. A lot of recruiters niche. So my area of expertise, I recruit for product management, product design, and UX. Some light tech, not software engineering. I can point you in the right direction for that, as well as like marketing. So essentially, I would consider myself a digital generalist. Most of the time, I'm placing people who are working for product-driven companies. So companies building some sort of digital product or experience, and my expertise is around that. I've been doing that since joining the agency side 10 years ago.
Right. So that's been you, but like your team, like built this team of recruiters, that you can spool up.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. Like, I mean, look at yourself, Dan.
Yeah.
You are a fintech and sales expert through and through. I've worked with folks on the tech side. I know people who are even more pointed in the direction of creative specifically. And so as a recruiter, I have a great network of recruiters that I can refer people to at any given point in time.
Right. And so actually companies that are looking to hire, right, and they need an outside recruiter, they can actually come to Ampersand Talent because you do have all of these other recruiters that you can spool up and bring onto the team, right? And then you can actually tackle multiple functions.
Yeah. Especially if you're trying to build a more well-rounded team and need to build something from scratch. We have a group of people that we work with that are amazing. Lisa, when you're looking to work with a recruiter, I think you mean it more from the candidate side, if I'm not mistaken.
That's correct. She is.
Definitely, as you're thinking about your search, definitely look at their history on LinkedIn. LinkedIn's one of the best places, in my opinion, to find a recruiter, but also Google's your friend. A lot of recruiters are regional specialists, so they might only work in, New York, or they might work East Coast. Look at who they're connected with. Do you have any shared connections with them? Are they going to expand your network or not? And if they have some, when I look for a recruiter, if I was hiring for a team and I was looking for someone like myself, I always look at how many shared connections we have, because if we don't have a lot of shared connections, chances are they probably don't do it as well as I would hope.
Right. The back channel checks too, right? Unofficial, getting an unofficial reference check.
Oh, I try not to do that. But if you're looking
Oh,
for a
come
recruiter,
on.
if you're looking for a recruiter to work with, ask someone who's been successful at placing you before, who has a good relationship, who's communicative.
Mhm.
You don't want a recruiter who is quick to ghost. Now, some people are super busy, but at the same time, you want someone who's going to be helpful to you.
So, which, this is kind of a cool meta situation here, right? You actually went through a process to
Mhm.
look for your own job, which has led you to do something else new. Love to hear about it.
Yeah, so I've been thinking about this for so long. It's not even funny. But, as a recruiter and on the external side, we call ourselves headhunters because we're more directed, right? A lot of times we're not posting and praying, we're going out there and finding people. And there are a lot of tools and techniques that we use as headhunters that are different than folks who are internal, a lot of times because we are a combination of a recruiter and a salesperson, right?
Mhm.
We have to usually find business, work with clients, and then go out and recruit, which we would call a 360 recruiter in the
Yep.
agency side. And so I've designed a course around job hunting like a headhunter, just like the title says for this episode. It's a four-part course over the course of 2 days. It's a workshop essentially on a weekend, where you will learn all the techniques of a recruiter, to actually reverse engineer that and use it in your job search. So tools, a lot of different approaches. So I'm really excited about it. I think, as I've talked about so many times, I'm really passionate about demystifying the hiring process. And so I think if you can really approach your search like we would, you'll know a lot of different ways to break into a company that isn't just apply on LinkedIn and hope for the best.
So I love how demystifying the job search process, right,
Mhm.
has applied to your own job search,
Yeah.
right? And then it's kind of prompted you to create this course, which is just such a perfect, kind of like closed circle. It's a closed loop.
Yeah.
And now we touched on this in the last episode, but I'd like to go over it again. Some of the myths and misconceptions, right, especially
Yeah.
around AI, right? And
Yep.
so I think it's really important. I think we should reiterate this kind of every chance we get,
Yeah.
right? Because there's so much noise out there around, these people who will sell resume writing services, right? And fight the AI and so I'd love for you to kind of go over that again.
Yeah. So as I talk about pretty regularly, a lot of times people think AI is super involved. One, because misconception, a lot of career coaches, for instance, haven't been on the backside of an ATS for 15 years, and yeah,
Forever,
yeah,
actually, right?
yeah. And I've worked with every major applicant tracking system on the market, from legacy enterprise software all the way through to some of the more modern tools like Lever, Greenhouse. And I've been not just on the agency portal submit candidate side, but also configuring them and being embedded to actually see how they work.
Yeah.
And
So,
thus far,
so by the way, for the audience, an applicant tracking system is the software that companies will use, recruiting agencies will use to keep track of all of their applicants. It's
yeah,
literally that. It is an enhanced filing cabinet.
yeah, yeah.
So,
When you used to have to just drop off your resume or fax it,
right.
now this is just the one that allows you to just
Wow.
send it immediately. I know everybody hates Workday. That's the bane of most people's existence these days. Sorry to Workday folks that I know, but everybody hates it.
Yeah.
I think when talking about where AI does fit into the picture currently, it's in a few different places right now. First and foremost, where AI and machine learning does factor into applicant tracking systems, it's usually on the search side. So me as a recruiter, if I were internal and I had an applicant tracking system, if I wanted to find a candidate who fit a particular need, who applied in the past, I can use AI. I could search and AI might help me find it better. They might help me craft a better search based on prompts.
Right.
They might, AI is used potentially in certain circumstances where it will analyze the job description that you have in the platform and give you a ranking of candidates who might best fit the role. I will tell you from experience, it's almost always not really right.
Right, because it's
It's too superficial at this point.
right. It's translating language that's endemic to that company, right? And it's filtering against a resume written by somebody from outside the company that's talking about their history in the diction that's endemic to each individual company that they were at.
Yeah.
Right? So it's almost like this weird translation, right?
And we talk about AI like it's a new thing. AI is not new. What's new is consumer use of generative AI, right? Generative AI versus just AI. Generative AI is what allows you to prompt an AI tool to come up with something new, whether it's an image, whether it's content. And that's what the chat GPTs of the world are doing. And that is being introduced, right? So a great example of this is LinkedIn is now using generative AI to help you construct searches. And so this is where if you understand how you represent yourself, you can be more searchable. And so that's where putting in the relevant keywords is. But all the way back when I was still in HR technology, our applicant tracking system, which was super old compared to others, and it's been a hybrid of acquisition after acquisition and merging different types of software together. Back then, we had a light AI that would recommend candidates. And there's a funny example of one time this candidate, he applied to everything. And instead of actually putting keywords in his resume, what he would do is he would copy the job description and paste it in his Word doc very, 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 very tiny in white. And the reason I was able to find him is because he would make it through. He would always be like a top candidate for every job. And I'm like, why is this guy a top candidate? He doesn't have any of the skills. What did I do? I Control F on his resume and boop, I see this tiny little pixel of a find. And so I copy pasted that into a document and made it black. And all of a sudden I'm like, he's pasting the job description. He did get banned. Like we put a ban on him from applying to jobs ever because it's unethical to do that.
It's unethical, right? And it's really lazy.
Do not game the applicant tracking system.
Yeah, do not
apply the thing you qualify for and make sure that your profile reflects your qualifications. Don't game it.
And which actually, brings us to kind of like the candidate profile. They don't understand the process, so we're here to help with that. Number one, please ask us. We're your resource for this type of thing, right? So please ask us a ton of questions, right?
Yeah.
Please do, because we're okay with with anybody out there that's ignorant. If you're ignorant to the process, we'll teach you.
Yeah,
right? We will teach you. It's people like that candidate, right? That they're being willful about it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's frustrating.
It's really like, frustrating. Do you want a job you're not qualified for? Do you think you're actually going to do a good job?
Right. And so, like, come on, dude.
I think there were other factors involved in that particular case.
Absolutely. But I think that ignorance, right? If you don't know, then you're just going to, fire off as many resumes as possible in the hope, right? In the hope of getting a response. And, we talk about that all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's the hopium, right?
Yeah. I love that word for sure. And I think in terms of where we will see AI will start to play a bigger part in these tools.
Absolutely.
I think companies will be cautious of adopting too much of it. I fall into the category of someone I've tested throughout my years doing this. I've tested quite a few sourcing tools that use AI to find great candidates, and to this date, it's still a challenge, but I think it will get better. Right now, a lot of people use AI for job descriptions, right? We write great job descriptions, we write content with it, and that makes a recruiter's life more easy. Because one thing most recruiters that I've ever worked with, they hate, it's the dreaded term, especially on the agency side, admin. They hate admin. So AI will probably improve workflows. It will probably improve scheduling. It might even improve the candidate experience, because AI might become another point of contact for you to keep you in the loop and keep you engaged in the process, so that you know where
Right.
you stand.
Right. Yeah, and we all know that the employee experience, right, an optimal employee experience happens even before they become a candidate, right? It's
Yeah.
when they first start to hear about a company or an opportunity. Right?
I can't remember the exact research, but I do know the interview process has a somewhat causal relationship to how long somebody stays at a company.
Incredible, incredible, right? Like they're not even like a twinkle in the eye of, right?
Yeah.
And that interview really is so important. It's so key. I mean, it's your first touch point, right? It's your first touch point. I actually recall when I took my my kid to visit campuses for your college visits.
Hmm.
Went to one college. They had an incredible experience because the tour guide was amazing.
Yeah.
The very next college we went to, 2 hours later, even though it was more prestigious academically and actually in every aspect, the tour guide was just so blah that it was like, oh, we're totally not applying to the second one.
Yeah.
Because we just felt a better connection, right? That
Yeah.
experience really starts from the first touch.
Yeah. Well, and I say this, it's a twofold, right? So candidates have a better experience when there's that enthusiasm, when the process makes sense. If you don't have if you have 8 steps in your recruiting process or hiring process, you really have to evaluate, does every step in this process need to exist? And what are we actually assessing with
Yeah.
8 different interviews?
Yeah.
And are we assessing anything new, or are we just giving people the chance to say thumbs up or thumbs down?
Right.
And everybody thinks, oh, this is a great way to have culture fit. It's also a really great way to inject bias into the process and have people have a terrible experience and get a really bad employer brand because of it.
Right. Right. 100%. Right. Because you never know what they're going to say on a glass door or any of those.
Yeah.
Any of those.
But
So
even word of mouth, like, some of the big tech companies, they can bank on having terrible processes because everybody wants to work for them, right?
Right.
It's like a stamp of approval for everything else going forward. But if
Yeah.
you're not one of those companies, like, you got to think about your process and how you're actually treating people, because people get really upset and then they'll start to badmouth you, whether it's online or to friends. And badmouthing goes pretty far.
Really a long way. Yeah. So let's go back to the course. Let's go talk
Yes.
about
Yes.
that. So it's a weekend,
Hmm.
right? And so a Saturday and a Sunday, and it's going to be 4 hours each day.
Correct.
And the dates are
I believe is it the 26th and the 27th?
26th and the 27th, and so
Yeah.
it's 4 hours each day.
Mhm.
4 hours each day. So we are talking about 4 modules.
Correct. Yeah. So
4 modules. So 2 modules.
4 main
each day.
modules. Yeah. So day one will be the hiring process and recruiting. So demystifying that, giving you a good sense of what to expect in the process, give you a little glimpse behind the scenes as to what it looks like on our side of things, as well as then personal branding. How are you reflecting yourself via your resume, via your LinkedIn? Day two is going to be all about how do you move the needle, right? And it's through networking, both in person, but also really your online networking and your approach to networking, as well as the job interview process and negotiation. So those are going to be the sessions. It's scattered throughout will be the tools and technologies that I use to be a recruiter, and how you might be able to use those to be a candidate maybe automate some of your work on the job application side, because we know it's an extensive process. It's no joke when people say it's like having a job to find a job. It takes time, and if you're being thorough, you can really maximize your chance of getting into the company that you want to.
Yes, absolutely. And now we can talk at length about how important networking is, but that's another show. That's another show.
I mean, I could talk about networking till I'm blue in the face.
Yeah.
And being this pale, you can see it probably takes a while to get blue.
but that's in contrast to applying online and applying blindly, right?
Yeah.
So we can talk about that forever. But let's talk about, where can we find this course?
Yeah, so we have futureproof-u.com, which is where my course is. Dan, you just did a pilot of your course 2 weeks ago. Yep. We have one coming up this weekend all about AI. If anyone is even remotely interested in AI, they should take a look. Our friend and colleague Aaron is teaching that, and he is just a maverick.
Last week's guest,
AI. Yeah. Aaron's. I learn. I'm a very, we joke about this when we're talking with each other. We're all very kind of self-directed and self-learning folks, and I'm one of those people. I am such an early adopter of technology, but Aaron is like that tenfold when it comes to AI. So it's definitely, I'm looking forward to attending it this weekend. If
we're going to be there, we're going to be attending it because it's our product, right? And we are launching and we're testing out our technology. We're testing our curricula. We invite you to explore more, right? So futureproof-u.com. We are here to be your resource to empower you with sustainable skills that you can use over and over again. Right? So John and I have been teaching this stuff for quite a while. Our best students never come back. They never come back.
I wonder why.
Because they use the skills, right? They use all of the things that we teach them, which is great, right? So, yes, we have a comment from the audience, Michael Evans. Let's do that show on networking. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for your comment. I'm actually looking on our YouTube channel. You should be able to find other episodes. All of our episodes, we do actually have networking as a kind of an under theme across all of our episodes. I cannot emphasize it enough. Networking is the most important and best and most efficient way, right, to really find the opportunities that you want.
If I may, I'd love to tell people about my favorite networking tip.
Right.
Dan, you've heard this before, I think. If you are at a networking event and say it's an open bar or a cash bar, a lot of people feel the need to have something in their hand at all times. I am a incredibly fast drinker. I drink liquid fast. I've had like 4 of these this morning. And so as a gin and tonic drinker, I also don't want to be sloppy at a networking event. So the first thing I do when I show up to a networking event with a bar is I walk up to the bartender and I tip them $20 and I say, this is gin and tonic, but every other gin and tonic is a soda with lime.
Yeah.
And I was like, please remember me, because I can continually have that little crutch of having a cocktail in my hand, and most times it's actually a tonic or a soda water with lime.
Yep. My trick, instead of the soda water with lime, is the soda water with a couple of dashes of bitters. And then a lime, but that the taste of bitters is great, and also it kind of wakes me up a little bit.
It's also good for a hangover.
What is it now?
Yeah.
So, Michael, just to give you a heads up, episode 1 of Everything to Gain is networking in an AI world. So that was our kickoff episode. Please visit our channel at E2G Show on YouTube. So, John, we've got we're actually a little bit over time, but where can people find more about you?
Yeah, of course, LinkedIn. I have a lot of detail about myself there. My website, ampersandtalent.com. Those are the best places. I'm not a big Twitter user, even though I'm one of those older millennials. I don't like it. It's gotten a little toxic for me. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
All right. So at John Lovig on LinkedIn, ampersandtalent.com.
Yep.
And futureproof-u.com. So,
yeah. If you can't find me, I question your ability to search for anything, because I am the only John Lovig that I know of.
Thank God for that.
Yeah. Or my parents.
All right. So, everybody, thank you so much for joining another episode of Everything to Gain. John, thank you so much for being a part of the show.
Thanks for having me again.
Great to be here with you as always to discuss all the trends that going on in jobs and careers and work. So this has been Everything to Gain, episode 19, Job Hunt Like a Headhunter. The music that you hear on the intro and the outro is from our good friend LJ Tisdale. So tune in next week. We will have another episode bringing you the value that we want to, because we're all about making positive changes in your life, and that's what E2G is all about. So thanks so much, and have a great weekend, John.
Have a great weekend.
Thank you to the audience for joining.
Thank you.